Interestingly, there are some people, there are a lot less of them, there are some people, if you go online, who really, really don't like relativity. I'm not even sure exactly why, but these you know. So, yeah, and there are flat earthers out there. I think they're for reals, but anyways. So I don't, yeah, so in one sense, I don't agree that evolution is completely unique, but clearly, yeah, there are, it's not just any other scientific theory. Since it's been proposed, there have been a lot of people who have reacted strongly to it, for and against, because of often sort of supposed philosophical implications of the theory, which I generally don't necessarily agree with, or at least I don't think it follows straightforwardly from the theory. Yeah, so there is a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of baggage there about whether people are willing to accept evolution, or even like when it's raised, sort of the associations it has for people. So yeah, no, I agree that there is a bit more to it than that, but I guess I was also emphasizing the other side of it, that the public knowledge of science in general is pretty bad. So I think that that's a big part of it as well.
Sure. And I mean, you scratched on it there, but what I wanted to sort of highlight was, of course, we always get the one-sided view that, okay, there's these religious nutters who are not agreeing with the theory for X, Y, Z. What we don't get is that early, from the very beginning, people who are naturalists, people who are secularists, people who wanted to challenge Christianity, and this is this is discussed by Peter Bowler, by Michael Roos and others, that this was an alternative for them. Darwinism was an alternative to Christianity. Darwinism was an alternative to religion. Julian Huxley, in his Religion Without Revelation and New Bottles for New Wine, he basically made the argument that we must educate the world and turn them into evolutionary humanists, right? And this is a new religion, and this is a new way of life. And he was the first president of the United Nations Scientific, Cultural and Educational Organization. So he was a philosopher and a evolutionary biologist. And so, we should also highlight the fact that on the other side, there's also this type of militant philosophical naturalism, which is pushing the theory way beyond its actual merits. And I think that's what sometimes can create the overreaction from the other side too. I mean, if one side said, do you know what, common descent is fine, it's accepted by the scientists, but what acceptance basically means is based upon this assumption and this assumption and this assumption and this assumption and so on and so forth, but it's a valid scientific theory. The other side wouldn't really put up too much of a fight. But when people go out and say this is absolutely true, and like Richard Dawkins and Victor Stenger said, it's like the shape of the earth, then the other side's going to get to a point where they even deny basic evolution, which was observable before Darwin. So do you think that's the case?
Overreaction. I definitely think that does happen. I certainly don't agree with everything Richard Dawkins says. I certainly don't agree with everything Richard Dawkins or other people like that have said, particularly when it comes to sort of the philosophical implications of Darwinism or of other things. I mean, I'm not, when Darwin says something, not Darwin, when Dawkins says something like evolution allows you to be an intellectually fulfilled atheist, I'm not even sure I really agree with that. That would take too long to explain. But the point is, I think that the scientific evidence for Darwinian evolution is very strong, and that provides us with strong reason to believe it is a fact. But I don't necessarily think that there's any clear philosophical implications that follow from this. There may be some, I'm not saying there are literally none, but I think there's a lot more work to be done. I mean, one example we've talked about is there's a very, well, maybe not easy, but there's a quite, at least I would say, intellectually credible way of not believing in evolution in some sense, and that's just being a scientific anti-realist or an instrumentalist. And actually quite a few philosophers are in this position. So, I think that there's just, there absolutely is a tendency to overreact, I think, on both sides, if we want to think of it that way. So, I don't really disagree with that.
Okay.